Hi, I'm 79 years old, and I've learned a ton about life. But there's one choice I really wish I hadn't made, moving into a nursing home. Back then, it felt like the best idea. My family said it was a good plan, telling me I'd get all the help and comfort I needed. I trusted them. But when I got there, I found out it wasn't anything like what I thought it would be. I know a lot of you might be thinking about this either for yourself or for someone you care about, like a grandparent. Maybe you think it's the safest choice, or maybe people have told you it'll make things easier. But before you decide, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in. The truth is, living in a nursing home isn't just about having things easy. It changes your whole life. And once you move in, getting out isn't as simple as you think. Stick with me until the end, because some of these lessons might really surprise you. And if you know someone who's thinking about moving into a nursing home, this video might be just what they need to hear before they make a huge decision that changes their life. Okay, let's get started. Regret number 1: losing my freedom. The biggest shock after moving into the nursing home wasn't the tiny room, the set times for meals, or even all the new people around me. It was figuring out that I didn't have control over my own life anymore. Before I moved in, I had my own way of doing things. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I wanted, cook my own food, or just sit in my favorite chair with a good book. But in the nursing home, I quickly found out that my time didn't belong to me anymore. Everything happened on a schedule that I didn't get to pick. Breakfast was at a certain time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights had to be turned off at a set hour, even if I wasn't ready to sleep. Want to go for a walk outside? You might have to ask permission, and you'd probably have to wait until someone was free to help you. Simple things like picking what to eat, or even what to wear, started feeling like special treats instead of normal choices. I remember my first week there, waking up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I sat up, stretched, and reached for the book I'd been reading at home. But then I looked around the room, and it hit me. This wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, all the little things that made me happy over the years, they were gone. Instead, I had plain walls and a bed I didn't even pick. I had this feeling I couldn't get rid of, like I wasn't in charge of my own life anymore. The hardest part? Realizing that once you lose your freedom, it's super hard to get it back. You start to just go along with things because you have to. You stop complaining when they tell you what's for dinner. You stop asking if you can go for a walk whenever you want. You learn to fit into their rules, but while you're doing that, you start to lose who you are. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself this: are you ready to give up the little freedoms that make your life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them way more than you ever thought you would. Regret number 2: feeling forgotten. One of the toughest things about moving into a nursing home is figuring out that the world outside keeps going without you. When I first got here, my family told me they'd visit a lot. I believed them. And at first, they did. My daughter came by once a week. My grandkids came on weekends. For a little bit, it felt like I was still part of my old life. But as the months passed, the visits slowed down. My daughter started calling instead of showing up. My grandkids got busy with school and jobs. Holidays were the worst. Everyone said they'd come, but somehow plans always fell apart at the last second. And all of a sudden, I was sitting alone in a big room, watching other people stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It's not that my family stopped caring about me. Life just got in the way. When you're not around every day, It's easy for people to think you're okay. They think you're getting used to it, that you don't need them as much. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget how much you still need them. I remember one night, sitting in my room holding my phone, trying to decide if I should call my son. I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never happen. So I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me. This was my life now. Watching the days go by, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to feel lonely? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're not around, it's easier than you think to be forgotten. If you're still watching this video and think these ideas are helpful, please write the number 2 in the comments below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, let's keep going. Regret number 3 is losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't know I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had things to do. I had daily routines, hobbies, and a reason to get out of bed. Even the little stuff, like watering the plants, making my own coffee, or cleaning up my space, made me feel like I had a purpose. But in the nursing home, all those daily things went away. Meals were made for me. Cleaning was done by someone else. The plants, well, they weren't mine to take care of anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally chill out. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just relaxing. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt super long, stretched out with nothing to do but wait. I saw it in other people here too. People who used to be full of energy. Now they just sit, stare, and wait for time to go by. There was a man named William. He was 73 years old and had been a carpenter his whole life. At home, he was always fixing stuff and building small projects in his garage. But here, in the nursing home, there were no tools or projects. There was nothing for him to build. I watched as he started to pull away, not talking or doing much. His hands, which used to be strong and good at making things, were now just sitting still in his lap. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I totally got what he meant. When you don't have something to care about or work on, life starts to feel empty. Your brain slows down. Your body slows down too. And pretty soon, you start to feel like just another person in a place where time goes by. But nothing really changes. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, what makes my life special? Because once you're there, finding a reason to keep going isn't as easy as just keeping busy. It's about holding on tight to the things that make you feel alive. Otherwise, you might feel sad about losing your health way faster than you thought. Before I moved into the nursing home, I was doing pretty good for my age. I wasn't running races or anything, but I could take care of myself. I could go for walks, cook my own food, and do my little daily routines that kept me active, like grocery shopping, stretching in the mornings, or even just walking around my house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it felt like I was just relaxing. Meals were brought to me, so I didn't have to stand in the kitchen to cook anymore. If I needed something, I could just push a button, and someone would come help me. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I got. I stopped moving around as much, and soon my legs started feeling stiff. I sat down more than I used to, and before I knew it, getting up from a chair felt like a huge task. The muscles I had worked hard to keep strong were going away faster than I ever thought they would. And it wasn't just me, I saw it happen to other people too. People who used to walk in on their own were suddenly using wheelchairs. People who used to be able to do things by themselves now needed help with stuff they never had trouble with before. The more help we got, the more we seemed to need it. I remember my neighbor, Barbara. She was a super friendly lady, a 73-year-old woman who was full of energy when she first got here. She used to take walks every day around the nursing home, saying she wasn't going to slow down just because she was older. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as much anymore. Then she started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I got 15 years older in just a few months." And that's exactly what it felt like. When you stop moving your body, you start losing it. And in a nursing home, where everything is set up to make things super easy, it's easy to forget that moving isn't just about making life simple. It's about staying alive. If I had known how fast I would lose my strength, I would have worked harder to keep moving, to stay active, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you're thinking about going to a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the energy to keep your body strong when everything is made to be super easy? Because once you slow down, getting back up is way harder than you think. If you're still watching this video and liking these ideas, please write the number 4 in the comments below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I think you should subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us keep making good videos to help and inspire you. Now let's keep going. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. One of the things I didn't really think about before moving into a nursing home was how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit quietly if I wanted, and do things my own way. But in a nursing home, privacy is something special that you don't always get to have. From the moment I got there, I felt like people were always watching me, staff coming in and out, checking my room on a schedule, and shared spaces where you're almost never alone. Even simple things like getting dressed or using the bathroom often needed someone's help. I know they were just doing their job, but it's not easy to let people help you with things you've done by yourself your whole life. I remember my first week feeling weird about having to ask for permission to do things I used to do without even thinking. Want to take a shower? You might have to wait until someone is free to help you. Need to use the bathroom? Sometimes pressing the call button means waiting longer than you want. Even choosing what to eat was hard. If you don't like what's on the menu that day, oh well, too bad. And then there was the problem of roommates. Not everyone gets their own room and has to share a space with someone else. Sharing with someone you didn't pick can be really annoying. I was lucky to have a nice roommate, but I heard stories from others who weren't so lucky. Some had roommates who were loud, messy, or even had problems with their memory that made it almost impossible to sleep. And no matter how hard you try to make your room feel like home, it never really feels like it's yours. Dignity is a tough thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I'd have to give up until I was already there. When people knock, but don't always wait for you to say, "Come in," before they walk in. When you're talked to like a patient instead of a person. When your daily life is controlled by a schedule you didn't make, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and control you've had your whole life? Because once you lose those things, it's really hard to get them back. Regret number 6 is figuring out it's way harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was just for a little while. I thought I'd try it out, see if I liked it, and if I didn't, I could just leave. But what I didn't know was how tough it would be to get out once I was in. At first, it seemed easy. If I didn't like it, I'd just go back home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house was empty, and taking care of it from far away was super hard. My kids had already started making changes, selling stuff they thought I didn't need. They even thought about renting out my house. When I mentioned going back home, they weren't sure. They said things like, "Are you sure you can take care of yourself? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you." And then there was the problem of my body getting weaker. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean, or even walk much, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I used to have started disappearing, making the idea of going back home way harder than I ever thought. I wasn't so sure I could live by myself anymore, and that fear kept me stuck. I met other people who felt the same way. They thought they'd just try the nursing home for a short time. But then, they found out that leaving wasn't as easy as they thought. The longer you stay, the harder it is to get used to life outside. Some people even lost the chance to leave completely. Once their house was sold or their money was all spent on the nursing home, there was no way back. That's the part no one tells you. Moving in feels like a choice you can change, but for most people, it's not. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world. And before you know it, the life you had outside starts feeling like a faraway dream. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready for the chance that once you move in, leaving might not be as easy as you think? Because once you get comfortable, the challenges to leaving, like money problems, weaker health, or even your feelings, can be way tougher to deal with than you expect. If you're still watching this video and think these tips are helpful, please write the number 6 in the comments below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us keep making good videos to teach and encourage you.